Welcome to Taking Off with the Gary Chicago Airport Show. I'm your host, Pastor Marion J. Johnson, Jr. We have a very special guest here today to share with the community the many exciting things that are going on behind the scenes at the Gary Chicago Airport. We have one who has been a great part of the airport over the years and even a greater part now. We want to thank Mr. Steve Landry for coming and letting us do this interview with him. And Steve, we know that currently you are the Interim Director of the Gary Chicago Airport, moving from Deputy Director. Tell us something about your aviation background first.
Start off with, I've got 22 years in the Air Force. I started off as an aircraft mechanic, working on the flight line. Then I moved into air traffic control and airspace management. After 22 years of that, I moved to a company called Jeppesen, who's the largest aviation mapping company in the world. They're a subsidiary of the Boeing company. I spent 7 years there doing airport certifications for foreign governments and putting together technical manuals for governments and doing some work with municipal governments in the United States. Did that for 7 years, and then from there I came here to the Gary Airport.
Okay, Steve, you worked at several airports around the world. Can you tell us some of those places that you've been around the world? Your aviation career has carried you to other countries also. Can you mention some of those countries?
Sure. Besides doing work in the United States, I've been in the Air Force. I was stationed in Oklahoma, Mississippi, South Carolina, Idaho. I've spent some time in South Korea, spent some time in Germany, spent some time in Egypt, spent some time in China. I was able to go to Tibet also on one of the assignments. Spent a lot of time in Bermuda, Turks and Caicos Islands, and the Bahamas.
So your aviation career has kept you well traveled.
Well traveled, yes.
All right. As Deputy Director, what were your main duties as Deputy Director?
I refer to it as inside the fence, as in the perimeter fence of the airport. I was responsible for the day-to-day operations of the airport. There's 7 department managers at the airport, and 5 of them reported directly to me on a daily basis.
Okay, as Deputy Director, did you have any interaction with the Gary Jet Center, and what was that interaction?
Yes, as a partnership with the Gary Jet Center, there's always movement of aircraft. A big thing is fuel. They fuel the aircraft on the airport. However, the fuel farm belongs to us. So, of course, as that teamwork goes, if there's something wrong with the fuel farm, that belongs to us, and we have to fix that so that they can get their fuel and fuel the aircraft. That's just one example. Okay,
and we know also we have the Boeing flight team is located at the Gary Chicago Airport. That's their headquarters, and also the National Guard is there. So tell us how your interaction has been with them over the years as the Deputy Director.
Well, with the Boeing Company, the important thing is to make sure that they have access to the airport where they're coming or going because of their passengers that they have at all times. And if that means make sure the runways are plowed in the wintertime during a snowstorm so that they can get in and out where they need to go, that's very important to them. As far as the Air National Guard, the interaction with them is, again, making sure that the airport is available to them whenever they need it.
Okay, with the employees, so when you say inside the fence, that means that you work hands-on with the employees of the airport. How many do you have, and what's your reaction with, what's your interaction with each unit that's in the airport?
Okay, we have 17 airport employees altogether, and the way it was broken up, that I would deal on a daily basis with 14 of them, put it that way. The daily interactions would be the normal following what we had planned to do, what we programmed to do on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a monthly basis, make sure those programs are moving forward. And then there's always the unexpected. Should a storm roll in and something go wrong, whether it be airfield lighting, trying to make sure that the airfield electrician has what he needs to do his job, and he does it well. It was every day something new.
Even with the janitorial area, you had quite a bit to do with the janitorial area too. So let us know, and I know there's been a change since you've been there with the people that was taking care of that particular portion of work. And tell us how you came about making that decision, and what is it that we expect from those that do janitorial work at the airport.
Okay, one of the things that I did, not just with the janitorial service, but with many of our services, was to sit down and put down in writing what the expectations of the airport would be for their performance, and identify tasks, specifically what the tasks should be. And then you put that out there to the public and let the public bid on it, and you go through that process. People come in and they submit their bids, and you open them up, and you not only look at prices but match up for skills and what they're offering. So did that with one of the changes I made was to develop a schedule of tasks to be done. I broke down each building and basically said, these are the tasks that need to be done. Tell me how much it's going to cost me by your bid to do this specific part of the building or buildings. And then I said, we're going to do these, some of these things daily, some of these things weekly, monthly, semi-annually. So basically, give me a price for what all these are, and I came up with a schedule of, I started off with A, and I think I got down to V for breaking it down. So what I'm able to do is kind of do an a la carte thing, where if the terminal's not in use, then I obviously don't need to be spending money vacuuming the carpet in the terminal every day. So I know that there's a certain schedule that relates to tasks associated with that. But I know that if we have a charter or an activity in the terminal, that I can just call up the janitorial service and say, I need schedule so-and-so done, I need it on this day. And I know exactly what that price is going to be because we've already agreed on that. And that helps with the budgeting of the whole process. Okay,
also with the office staff, you have hands-on. With the office staff, so tell us, as a whole, give us an evaluation of those that were under your supervision.
The first thing that stands out is I believe they think that airport belongs to them, and I think that's a good thing. Okay. They have possession of the airport, and that's what you need out of your employees, number one. They're loyal and they're hardworking. The everyday interaction, one of the things that I did immediately with the managers was to sit down and develop a budget process that enabled us to scrutinize just about every dollar or every penny that we spend. So that's something that we do on a daily basis, is to sit down and talk about budgeting and how to use the resources that have been entrusted to us most wisely.
Well, let me commend you, first of all, for your work ethic and the job that you were doing as Deputy Director, but now you're moving into another area. You're currently now the Interim Director. Tell us about the circumstances that brought this about, and make the comparison to where you were, and I know at this time it's still new. What do you see the two big differences between the two jobs? And tell us about the circumstances that led you to be Interim Director.
Well, the circumstances are obviously Chris Curry was the director, and he took on a job down in southern Florida as a county executive director with 3 airports under him. So with him moving on, there was a void to be filled, and I volunteered to fill that void. So that's why I'm Interim Director at this time. And the second part was?
Tell us the difference in what are your new duties compared to what you did before.
Well, the new duties, let me, again, as interim director, I still have my old duties as deputy director. That hasn't gone away. Fortunately, I've got the employees, the staff has recognized that I've got a lot more work on my shoulders, and they've stepped up, and they're taking some of that workload off of me. Since we have worked together for 3.5 years, they understand the expectations, and of course I understand their capabilities and skills. The new duties as deputy director, I'm sorry, as the director, the director duties associated with the interim director is a lot more strategic, big picture in nature, talking with a lot of people off the airport that I wasn't daily interfacing with prior. I can tell you that over the 2 weeks that I've been interim director, I think I've been in more meetings and off the airport and interacted with more people than I probably did in the last 1.5 years as deputy director.
Okay, Steve, as interim director, we know that you're tied in with the RDA, also tied in with the current rail negotiations, tied in with the airport attorney, which is Attorney Patrick Lip, also dealing with the board president, which is Nate Williams, and the vice chair, which is Ross Emerson, and dealing with all these different personalities where you really didn't have to deal that much with. How has this affected you? Do you see this as a challenge, or how do you approach this?
It's a challenge, not because the people are making it challenging. It's a question of time management and span of control. Interacting with all the different agencies and the personnel is something new to me, and obviously I have a learning curve that I'm going through right now, and I've got to say that these people that I have been dealing with, I think they've been very understanding, knowing that I have a learning curve, and they've been extremely helpful with that, and I'll say with the tenants on the airport as well, you know, with the Jet Center and Boeing, and I don't want to leave anybody out, but everybody seems to realize that there is an adjustment period, and I've been receiving an awful lot of help with that adjustment.
Okay, have you had any conversation with Mayor Clay since you've been appointed to this position?
No, I have not. We have, Nate Williams and I, at one point, we're trying to line up a meeting with the mayor, but our schedules just wouldn't allow it. And like I said, I've been going to a lot of meetings as well, so that simply just hasn't happened yet. Okay,
your relationship with the compact, and I know you had a surface kind of relationship with them as deputy, but as your experience as deputy, how does it help you in your current position as interim director? How do you interface your experience with director as deputy director with your doings with the compact? A big part of my role as deputy director was budget and management of that budget, and with the compact as deputy director, it was my job to define either capital equipment that we needed or things that the airport needed and that they could help us with, and I'd go through that process of making sure that we had you know, vetted the vendors that we were going with and make sure that we were getting the right prices and everything. So I think that understanding of the budget process and what they expect from us is helping me at this point as we're developing the budget for 2011, which includes input from the compact. Okay, management skills, your management skills compared, and this is a question that there's really not a right answer to. Your management skills compared to that of the past director and Mr. Chris Curry, are they similar, or do you see yourself as being different, somewhat alike, or Just explain to us, what do you see the difference at?
And I'm glad you made the comment that there is no right or wrong. There's just different,
Right.
and no one management style can be used all the time for every instance. So you do have to move back and forth. Chris and I both have military background, and so I think our philosophies were essentially the same, and I think our work ethics are the same as well. However, I think where we're different is I'm more of a participation manager, as in I look for, I ask for, and I demand participation from the team members around me.
Well, that's a unique style, you know, and it's not, that's why I mentioned that it wasn't a right or a wrong answer, because two individuals would never make the same fingerprint. And as you see your role now, what are some of your main goals for the airport in this current position?
The immediate goal is the 2011 budget, and making sure that we can keep the airport operating in a fashion that fulfills our requirements to the FAA. Next would be the runway expansion program. That's actually moving on very rapidly now with the bringing on of the program manager and talking with the railroads and the various factions that we need. So immediate focus, again, the tactical would be the budget, and then the strategic would be the runway expansion. So
you say, well, out of all your challenges, that would probably be the two most challenging things?
I think they're the two highest priority,
yeah.
To go on.
Mm-hmm. So as we see the shortfall in tax collection, and we know that's revenue, and we need revenue to run an airport in a successful manner. So what do you see? What is your gut feeling about how the airport will run economically in the next few years?
I don't foresee an increase in revenue, whether that come from the tax-based sources or external sources. As Deputy Director, I spent the last 3.5 years really digging down into the budgets and making sure that, you know, we were spending every penny wisely. It's gotten to the point where we've done the work on the material resources, and I'm sad to say at this point we're probably looking at personnel as the next avenue to make the ends meet.
As of right now, the airport has not experienced any furlough days, any layoffs, or job cuts, or any of that up to this point.
You are correct.
Right, and so now we're getting in a critical area where some of this might have to occur.
Yes.
And how do you plan to approach that?
I don't have the answer right now, because it would depend on what the budget shortfall would be, and that would drive what needs to be done. If there can be temporary fixes, I would certainly look for a temporary solution, and that might mean furlough days. If we see something more long range and we have to respond to that more long range, well, then I hate to say it, but there could be layoffs.
What kind of things do we depend on from the Chicago Compact to finance at the airport? Can you mention just a few of those things that we sort of, well, I know that we lean on them pretty heavily for some things, so can you mention what those things are?
Over the last couple years, we've asked them for help with some of the salaries of the management team at the airport, and that's been a tremendous help. And we've also leaned a lot toward operational costs to get things done. Some examples of those is they've helped us go out and purchase a paint machine for painting the runway more efficiently. They helped us buy a new vehicle that we outfitted for wildlife control. We put a special speaker in there to help scare the wildlife off, they helped us buy some of the airport lighting that we have to have in place for the pilots to use, with runway numbers on them, directions around the airport, to help us maintain our certification with the FAA so that we still remain a viable destination for airlines.
And also remember that they also help us repair the door for Boeing.
You are correct, yes.
Which was at a humongous cost.
Yes, it was.
Yes, I think it was something like $32,000 or something like that.
Actually, it was over $80,000.
$80,000 with 32 for the equipment, and then the...
Right.
Yeah.
And those are some big doors. They're 40 feet tall and about 60 feet wide. Made of metal, heavy, many cable systems associated with them. So that was a very intricate project that we had to get done that I'm glad that they helped us with.
Okay, AECOM has come on recently. They were awarded the project manager position, and they were contracted to do so. What would be your job in support of them? How do you interface with them as they run management for the project, for the expansion of the runway and other things? What is your role in that?
My role is to make sure that all the different facets of the program are all being managed to the one single culmination of the event of getting the project done. And it might be easier to explain what they're doing and then make that comparison. I mean, what they're doing, the runway expansion program is not just a linear event. It's not just one thing happening at the time, get that done, move on to the next thing, get that done, move on. What's actually happened is, we'll be doing work with the railroads, and there's several railroads that we're working at, so you could actually break those down into 3 different tasks that could be happening at the same time. Well, while we're doing that, we can also be starting on the new taxiway, the new runway. There's FAA equipment that needs to be moved. There's things that we have to do with property. And so there's a lot of different things that are going to be happening at the same time, and that's what the program manager's job is, to oversee or manage all those projects at the same time, make sure that the time scales are being set out, and when it's time to go out and look for a contractor, they're the ones that will be doing the paperwork to define what the contractor will be doing. They'll put that out for the bidding, and the contractors will come back with their bids. It's the bid opening process that'll have to be done, and then a discussion about which is the most qualified, as well as the right priced contractor to do. So all these things will be happening all at the same time, and that's what the project manager's job will be. My job in that is to make sure that all these things are happening. Although I won't actually be doing those things, it's my responsibility as a manager to make sure that all those things are happening, and they're happening in a way that is best suited to the airport and our overall goal.
Also, we had mentioned that you interface with the RDA. So what is your position with them? What are some of the things that you do with the RDA?
Well, the RDA, we just had a board meeting this morning, and one of the things that they're going to do is come in and do a personnel skills assessment for us. So I'll be working with them, as in feeding them the information, well, not the RDA itself, but working with the RDA to work with the contractor to make sure they have the information that they need, or they know where to go get the information that I have available to me to provide that resource. Of course, the RDA is tremendous help with the runway expansion. They've committed to providing us with funds So I will definitely be keeping them in the loop on how the runway expansion program is going, so they understand where their dollars are going and how we're managing that.
How soon do you believe the project will be completed, and how long do you think it would take to get everything done? If we started tomorrow, moving the rails and everything, how soon will you think that would be?
I believe that the deadline that the FAA set for us for 2013 is feasible, and I think we're going to achieve that. Will every single project be finished by 2013? No. But will we meet the requirements set forward by the FAA to have the runway safety areas intact and expanded beyond their present location, and that means moving the railroad? I fully believe we'll have that done by the end of 2013.
Okay, Landry and Brown, they did a strategic business plan. How do you plan to implement that into the airport's operations?
Again, one of the things that they talked about was the skills assessment, and that's the next step on that of where we're going for that. So participating in that facet of the project will give us an idea or give us an outside look to make sure that the organization of the airport is on the right track and that we've got the right skills at the airport going forward. As far as their far-reaching recommendation about charter aircraft, attracting those to the airport, that's something that I haven't engaged them with over the last 2 weeks since I've been there, but that would definitely be the priority on how do we implement that going forward.
Okay, Stephen, your closing remarks, what would you say that, how do you feel your approach should be to all this? And I know this is all new for you. This is an exciting time for you personally, and it should be. And moving into this new position and all these things going on around you, how would you list them in your personal priorities?
I'm not sure I understand.
Well, for instance, how would you, we know that the railroad negotiations are going on. If you had to choose between being at the railroad negotiations and being in a meeting with the RDA, because you have quite a few things that you got going on now that's really important, how do you fit in all these positions? Okay,
I think I understand.
Okay.
The overall #1 priority is the runway expansion program to help this airport move and to fulfill what I think is its destiny to be an economic driver for the region. Means that we've got to get that runway expanded, and the way to do that would be to move the railroad. So if I had a choice between talking to the railroad and the RDA, I think the RDA would understand and agree with me that the discussion with the railroad would have to take place. So that is the #1 goal, is to get that runway extended and get this airport so it looks a lot more lucrative to the airlines out there.
Okay, Steve, we want to thank you for coming
by
today, and we're praying for you, and we pray that you would pray also for Mr. Landry. He has his hands filled, but I believe that he's well able and capable to do anything that faces him at this point. Once again, you've been watching the show for Taking Off with the Gary Chicago Airport. I've been your host, Pastor Marion Johnson. Our very special guest today has been Mr. Steve Landry, the Interim Director of the Gary Chicago International Airport. Thank you once again, Steve.
Thank you.